Well, Lieutenant General David Deptula was formerly Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence with the US Air Force. He's now Dean of the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies, a think tank. He joins me from Washington now. David, how do you expect Iran, its allies and the Quds Force to respond to this attack?
Nice to be with you, Simon. First, I would like to tell you that the strike was a measured and appropriate response after 18 months of restraint by the Trump administration to a series of aggressive actions in violation of international law by Iran. I think you and your audience are well familiar with Iran seizing oil tankers, attacking other oil tankers, downing an unarmed U.S. drone in international airspace, and then attacking Saudi Arabia's oil infrastructure. President Trump set a red line, that red line being the injury or loss of U.S. lives. He warned Iran not to cross it. They did, and he responded accordingly to defend American personnel and interests. Now, you just previously talked a bit about strategy, and I would tell you that the action is part of a longer-term strategy to constrain Iran's malign activity, roll back Iran's influence in Iraq, and ultimately deter further Iranian aggression.
David, you've been involved very closely with operations similar to the one we saw about 24 hours ago. From your experience, just how long will the US have been tracking Soleimani, and why do you think they struck when they did?
Once again, the intelligence is a key element of the timing of the attack, as well as the fact that's been articulated by both the Secretary of State, Pompeo, as well as the President, in the context of immediate threats to U.S. personnel and interests in the region. So I think what you saw is the combination of extremely and extraordinarily accurate intelligence information in a very timely way to eliminate the cause of those threats, and that was Soleimani. And that attack turned out to be very precisely executed.
Precisely executed, and obviously a big step to take in terms of US policy and Donald Trump's US policy. How do you think the killing of Qasem Soleimani will now affect US policy in the area now?
Well, it depends on if Iran wants to become and treated as a viable nation state, then they need to start acting like one, not as a terrorist state. So it depends on exactly what the Iranians are going to do. Now, you earlier asked about U.S. response and talked about the number of troops that have been deployed. Those are going over there for defensive purposes, but I would also suggest that we've got to stop equating strategy with the number of U.S. boots on the ground. Large numbers of troops in the region simply plays into Iran's hands. The best way to deter Iran now is to supplement the large number of U.S. Air Forces in the region by forward deploying 6 or 7 fully armed and loaded stealth B-2s to Diego Garcia, and the mullahs will get the message.
David Deptula, the former Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence with the US Air Force, among many other things. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Really interesting to get your views on that.